Meeting will now come to order. Before I take roll, I'd say it's been a tough little while, a couple of weeks for our whole community. We've lost a lot of people that we love many, and I think I'm just happy to be part of a community that comes together and everybody supports each other, and hope we continue to do so. And hits a damn deer. We'll tell you about that one later.
That is a deer kill.
That was our driver's ed teacher would tell the kids. Anyway, roll call. Mr. Hurst. Here. Mr. Landwehr.
I'm here.
Mr. Cowley.
Here.
Mr. Glonick. Here. Ms. Burnett.
Here.
Mr. Probst.
Here.
And I'm here. We'll now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Oscar Dons.
All right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda was posted throughout the district according to school board policy, published as a legal ad in the Superior Telegram, posted on the district webpage, and sent to the WNXR radio station for announcement. A meeting notice was sent to the connection for publication. Item 3 is the approval of the December 9th, 2024 agenda. Need a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the
Motion
consent
to
agenda.
accept the agenda. We have Mr. Cody. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4, the consent agenda, November 11th, 2024, regular school board meeting and executive session minutes. B is the treasurer's report. Mr. Landwehr.
A summary of the treasurer's report as of November 30th, 2024, general fund. General account on November 30th, 2024, there was a balance of $2,953,431.10 in cash and investments. Receipts since the 1st of December and not included in the November 30 balance are $1,788,023.06, and the disbursements from tonight's December 9th board meeting total $64,593.97. The flexible spending account on November 30th, 2024, there was a balance of $23,885.45 in cash and investments. In the health reimbursement account on November 30th, 2024, there was a balance of $1,966.97 in cash and investments. In the debt service fund on November 30th, 2024, there was a balance of $674.41 in cash and investments. And a more detailed report on fund activity is included in the financial statements for your review.
Thank you. And then item 4C is payment of invoices, and I hope all board members have a chance to look at those, and if they have questions, talk to Mr. Petcher-Cotter. Item 4D, resignation of employment. Mr. Moore.
We had no resignations this month, and we have one employment recommendation, Hannah Lure, speech and language pathologist. Hannah comes to us she's a graduate of Minnesota Duluth with a master's degree in communication science and sciences and disorders. She has experience as a speech and language pathologist intern at Essentia Health and in Cloquet, and Hannah also has been a paraeducator and has experience collaborating with educators and school personnel. It comes to us highly recommended.
Okay. So on the consent agenda, we need a motion second. for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Steve, Mr. Probst. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, approval items. Item 5A is a request from Allison Melby, Northwestern Middle School Student Council Advisor and Student Council Representatives to plan and attend an experience day on Friday, February 21, 2025. And we are honored to please let us know your names and
Good evening. My name is Anna LaFontaine. This is Libby Burke. I honor Smith and Ramsey Robinson. We are here representing Northwestern Middle School Student Council.
We have come to ask for the school's board approval for the Northwestern Middle School Experience Day all-school activity, which will take place on February 21st, 2025. This event has been taking place since the early 1990s. It's the Northwestern Middle School tradition.
Experience Day is a fun day when 6th, 7th, and 8th graders get the chance to try new and exciting things with their fellow classmates and teachers.
This year's choices include skiing or snowboarding at Spirit Mountain, ice fishing in Iron River, Adventure Zone, bowling with roller skating, YMCA with roller skating, Level Up Game Center with roller skating. We feel that students will enjoy these fun activities.
We'll explain how these activities work. First, there is Spirit Mountain, which is an all-day event where you can snowboard or downhill ski. There's a concession stand that has food and drinks for sale. Then there is a day of swimming and gymnasium space at the YMCA in Superior. Students will then head to World of Wheels to roller skate, and will stop at the local fast food restaurant. Students can also go ice fishing in Iron River all day. Students who choose this option will have the whole day to go ice fishing and eat snacks from the snack store nearby.
Adventure Zone in Duluth has opened their doors for us. Students will be active playing laser tag, beating in the batting cages, and playing mini golf most of the day. We've also added a day of bowling at Incline Station and roller skating at World of Wheels. The last option is Level Up Game Center in Superior, where students can enjoy a morning of card games and then join the other groups roller skating. All of these activities are very fun, and we know students will enjoy themselves no matter which one they pick.
This year's price will be $20 for students. If a student can't pay, no worries, as arrangements are made with the student council. It is important that all students can attend and enjoy socializing with their friends and make new friends.
We're kindly asking that this district again helps us with the bus transportation costs that will range from $2,500 to $3,500.
We as Northwestern Middle School Student Council representatives strongly believe that this is a great opportunity to help our local businesses and show them the first-class behavior that our student body displays in and out of the classroom. We would appreciate the school board's approval on this project. Thank you.
Any questions?
I know last year, I think was it snowed out last year, the year before? Do you have an
That was
alternative date?
That was about 3 years ago.
All right,
Currently we don't, because I haven't looked at the calendar. And places don't let me give they want to clear one date. So if we were snowed out or bad weather, it would be a morning of scrambling again.
okay.
It would be a Friday, probably one of the Fridays after, probably the following.
I guess ultimately what I'm asking is, it's not, if it's snowed out or something happens where you have to cancel it for that day, I assume that work is probably gonna get put into, to still have it just on an
Yes.
alternative day.
So when it happened previously, we worked hard to get the kids going the following week, so.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question. Don't take this the wrong way. Do we have any prerequisites or criteria for student participation? Or maybe ask a little bit differently, is there any incentive type program that's correlated with this?
Our whole thought was to have all students included to go. It's been passed around for various years, but again, we want all kids to have the opportunity. Because a lot of the kids who go in our district, a lot of them can't afford to go on their own or with their own family. If you're thinking behavioral wise, academic wise, we do think about it, but they need to enjoy the fun things we can do too. My thoughts. So.
And if I may, the mission and purpose of it is an experience for all students, and it's a way for us to bring our whole Tiger community together, all the students, 6th graders interacting with 7th graders and 8th graders, and so we just think it's really important to build that sense of community. At the end of the day, the students are pretty awesome, so
Yeah.
we wanted to all be able to experience this, and it's such a memory, and I think you're talking to whoever went to middle school, this is something they always think to. But it's a great question. There would be, I mean, if there were students, I don't anticipate this ever happening, but they deviated from our core expectations in middle school, we'd certainly have a conversation with them.
Any other questions?
Have you girls, what have you experienced in the previous, what was your experience on Experience Day?
This is my first year to the district, so I don't
Okay.
have an experience.
Another great example of why we need school.
I went skiing my 7th grade year, which was really fun because I'd never really gone skiing, and I made a lot of new friends, like Mr. Craig said, in other grades, not just in my grade.
Where did you get to that? After we went to the walk, and like they said, you get to experience it with other grades too. Instead of like when you're in 6th grade, your hallway is kind of just 6th grade. You get to experience it with all the upper class.
I will say, I as a teacher, I got to go several times. I always enjoyed the skiing because there's a lot of first timers there. And it's entertaining.
Awesome. And I think it's a good thing, not just to experience it, but looking forward to it is just as much fun, I think, as actually going. So, I would entertain a motion to approve this item.
I'll make a motion to approve the experience day for the middle school.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there a second? Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much for
Thanks
your
for
time.
coming.
Thank
you. Thanks,
Good time.
Okay, item 5B, the 25-26 gymnastics, NHS gymnastics cooperative agreement with Superior.
Yep, every year, the WIA has us, usually the co-op agreements are 2 years, but for gymnastics, they require a 1 year to renew the co-op agreement. So we're looking to get this approved. We've had a good relationship with Superior, and it's given a couple of our students a chance to compete in the sport of gymnastics.
Okay, and part of the agreement, do we help fund the coach?
Mr. Smith, you want to elaborate on that?
In all our co-ops, they basically come up with the costs of coach salary, transportation. In hockey's case, it's a facility, supplies, whatever, and then they take the total number of students and divide it equally.
Okay,
So we have 3 girls in gymnastics this year.
okay, awesome.
So they take the total cost divided by 20 girls, whatever the number is, and then we get our share.
And my question is also the facilities. Where are the facilities? Is it
The Twin Ports Gymnastics facilities where they practice.
okay. The Superior School doesn't have their own facility. Okay.
Is there a men's gymnastics?
No, it's a good question, but not in Wisconsin. There might be some
I'm
clubs.
wicked on the rings, dude.
I was gonna say, you'd be a good fit.
Gotta get your feet out before.
That would be experience day. We're all involved.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my question is, do we need a roll call vote? We don't. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Horner?
I have a question. So Superior lets us co-op girls hockey, girls gymnastics, swimming. Is that swimming in boys and girls?
Just
I
boys.
think it's just boys.
right now.
Boys. And that doesn't affect when they bump up in division and they compete.
They're already Division I, so they're
Not worried about
yeah.
it. So
Yeah, they don't worry about that.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to go.
Right now, they
that's
don't.
right. Okay.
Yeah, if they were Division II, they would bump them up to Division I. But I think in gymnastics, there's only there's only one division anyway, maybe 2.
2. They're gonna be a division.
Yeah.
Same with girls hockey. Girls hockey is only 1 division.
Yeah, only one division.
And swimming, there's 2. They're already division 1.
So all these sports we co-op, they don't have to cut any kids. They don't.
No, because they feel there's a need in that sport.
So boys hockey still has no need.
As of right now, they have said that they have enough players for that. Could that change in the next few years? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not gonna speak for Superior because that's their sport. But if they ever-
I'm just campaigning for our kids.
if Superior ever asked us to co-op for boys hockey, we would be more than willing to do that. Or if they asked us to co-op for girls swimming, we'd be more than willing to. But they have to initiate that. They have to be. So, like I said, can't speak for them. And at this point, that's kind of all I can
Well, all these
do.
things you hear, everything's gotta be equal and equity, and then it's like, well, no, we don't need you for this, but we want you for this. I'm just saying.
I'm not sure it's a want thing.
Pardon me?
I see what you're saying, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think they're, I mean, Mr. Smith might, I'm not sure they're out recruiting co-op.
No.
No, we just,
I mean, was it pretty spot on with my answer with that?
Yes. It's based on numbers.
Okay, does anyone want to make the motion then to agree for the co-op, gymnastics co-op?
I make a motion that we co-op.
Second?
second,
Sure. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have item 5C, policies, the second read on the administration of medication emergency care, policy 5330.
Yeah, we're just a reminder, this policy is revised to include the option of students receiving non-prescription drugs that are provided by the school. Consent from the school supplies with the parental instructions, dosage instructions, or healthcare provider instructions. So we are looking to approve this tonight.
Okay, the second read, so we need a motion to approve this. Item Policy 5330. Any questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Cowley,
Second.
we have a second, Mr. Probst. Any other discussion?
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Sorry, I should have done that before you asked for that. The essential oil ordeal here. Just asking, it says students are prohibited from using essential oils at school. Does that mean staff is not?
Well, just like, it wasn't in the policy if I'm not, and let me get to the.
I don't remember. I thought this was a hubbub a few years ago. I can't remember.
Historically,
I can't remember where it went. You know, either you're for or against the snake oil.
principals can chime in when all of staff don't use it in their classrooms.
Yeah, I don't think they do use it in there because of, people could be allergic to it.
Lean on the principals to chime in on that one.
Yeah, we've tried to minimize it, and it pops up every now and then, talk with the staff, and more than willing to adjust.
But it's nothing, there's nothing, I mean, this policy specifically said students can. But it doesn't say anything about staff. Only reason I'm asking. So it's, what's good for one is not good for all.
Oh, this is in the student handbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Lundberg, is what you're looking at referencing the policy for medications? Because I think there is a separate policy that the staff part is embedded in. But I think this one is about students not using it as like a lookalike or something, is it maybe? I'm not sure.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, Ms.
But,
Craig.
I mean, it's essentially, it says they're using it as.
But I think there's something else for this teacher handbook, for the staff handbook.
Yes, this one, yeah, so it looks like
I
it's.
guess I can't
specific to
remember. That's the
students.
only reason
Mhm.
I asked. And I don't need to beat a dead horse with it. I'll just ask.
Yeah, this is the student policy, handbook policy. So do we have a motion to approve?
We got a motion and a second.
We had already?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
second,
All in favor, say aye.
This was discussion.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 5D is that NHS course description, book proposed revisions, and I've been asked to have that tabled, even though it's an agenda item, so I guess.
Yeah, we had discussion, we were getting ready for it, and then we were working on some things at our last admin meeting last week, a little bit on it, and we wanted to just table that to January because they wanted to refine some things.
That's fine. We just need a motion to table the item.
Is that? I'm just thinking here, is there any timeline associated with that change or those revisions that?
It's for the course handbook for 25, 26, so yeah, we're still okay to do it in January, yeah.
That's
Because the board meetings early enough in January, so there's
Yeah.
plenty of time for them to get that out to our students. Good question.
Were we, I I know it was discussed at some meeting, but if there's going to be courses that are eliminated, are we made aware of that ahead of time?
We'd probably be, once we get all that stuff organized for January, we'll let you know what we're looking at. I mean, we can have discussion on it. So, go ahead.
We're not looking to eliminate anything. We're looking to add one from UW Superior. It's basically it's a teacher education course for students that are interested in being teachers. You take a course for college credit, dual credit type stuff. One of the reasons we're at the table in January is we're supposed to be getting more information on whether or not this is going to go, and that we have as teachers interested in teaching this course, but they got to be credentialed in such a way that they can teach the UW Superior course. It's UW Superior 200. So that's one of the big reasons why we want to wait a month, is to see if we can run that course. For anybody that wants to be a teacher or go into their teacher education program, that they contact us in August. We're thinking about this, and we're saying, yeah, we'd be on board, and then we kind of move forward, talk to a staff member that's interested. We're seeing if they can be credentialed. The other things are editorial. I think we're dropping graphic arts because we're going to incorporate it into another class, Mr. Hessel is, because the software we're using now is really old and is really expensive. So he's willing to do something different to work that into a different course so they get the exposure to it. There's a couple semantic, changing the names from physical exploration to physics. That's same course, just changing that. And then combining 5 and 9, 10, so they, instead of having a separate 9 and a separate 10, we go 9, 10, add some flexibility to our schedules where they can take some more electives, things like that. So we're not dropping any, actually we're looking to add one. That will work into our schedule with our current staff.
We're waiting on UWS.
Well, we wanted to wait till after the first year because we're supposed to hear more from them about the course and then about the person that's interested in his credentials to do it.
Great, so can someone make a motion then to table this item?
I make a motion to table this item.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Table. Item 6, very good item. The report, Wisconsin State Report Cards for the district and schools 23-24 and Act 20 update. Mr. Larrabee, the district assessment coordinator.
All right, I have to give a disclaimer, this has to be a very short and abridged version because a lot of us have a concert that we have to get to tonight. So what I'm gonna walk through is similar to years past. So I've kept the same format. So those of you that have been here with me before, we will kind of follow that same format. If you do have questions as we go through, please, by all means, feel free to ask tonight, or if it's something that maybe come back to later, you're like, oh, I wish I would have thought about that. Shoot me an email, or you can find me at Iron River tomorrow for the Christmas concert, or at NES the rest of the week. So as we connect here, there are a couple of little kind of structural changes this year. So as we kind of go through the different buildings, there we go. Just want to draw attention to the fact that the state report cards are made up of all of the assessments that the state drives, which, as you've heard me talk about with Act 20, we are now pulling elementary data at a younger age. To date, that's still going to stay out of the report card. Right now, we're still going to focus on the forward exam for 3 through 8 and grade 10, and then the dynamic learning maps, which is an alternate assessment for some students. And then the pre-ACT secure and ACT writing in grade 11. So those are the tests that come together to make up our state report card. And anybody at home that wants to look, or board members, if you're really bored on a Saturday night, I put that link in there. And I know you guys got this report already. That will take you directly into the state's database for where these are housed. So if you click on that report, you have access to what's called the public, or the publicly released report cards. Those are slightly altered than what we as school districts get, because the state makes sure that we protect our students' privacy. So there's not anything that's identifiable in the reports that I give in open settings. Slightly different when I sit down with classroom teachers. or with grade level teams or at NES, the building leadership team, we look down to the student level and look at how students did so that we can then look at, well, how can we change what we're doing or how can we support these kids? On the public side, when you look through the report card, there's no way to identify any of the students. So they are slightly different than what the schools get. And if you are interested, you can also go and look at other schools. So I took the labor of that away for you guys. I went through some of the Heart of the North schools in comparison. We can get to the end of this. But you're able to access all of that right here. You can click where it says district. If I wanted to look at Cameron as an example, I can click Cameron and then I can see all of their schools. And the same thing with those public reports that I can't drill down into student identifiable information. What I didn't throw into here, but I think Mrs. Keller gave you, is there's also an Excel spreadsheet that really is a nice way to look at comparing districts. It comes out to us and it's a really big document, which I wish they would maybe make it a little more simplistic because I think it's too much for the data geeks. But if you take some of those layers away like I did, you can drill down to our CISA area. So you can find out within that spreadsheet, well, how does everybody in CISA 11 and 12 do? How does CISA 10 stack up? So we can look at the northern part of the state when I look at the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level. So that's also a usable document. So I think you sent that to them. Okay.
I have it, and I'll share.
I would say if you didn't get it, email me and I'll send it out to you. But that's also a nice document because you can see, okay, here's all the schools that are in the CISA 12 area from Superior all the way down to the smaller schools. So this is where you would find all of that information. As we go through these, I want to draw attention to the lower left quadrant. If you look at where it says overall score, our state report card still gives an overall score for our school. So this is our district report card. As you can see, we continue to exceed expectations. Later on, I'll show you how we stack up in the northern part of the state. We, again, have a lot to be proud of here. This is on a district level. The middle graphs, if you will, kind of give a little bit about the student groups and demographics. So one thing that I want to just go over one time, if you look at where it says priority area weights, if I can kind of reiterate that based off of your socioeconomic disadvantage rating, those scales tip or move just a little bit. So if you happen to be a district that is more affluent, you have more weight on the academic side than if you have someone, or if you happen to be a district of a large percentage of economically disadvantaged, the achievement is not weighted as heavily as the growth. So this isn't what Brad thinks is right. This comes out of UW-Madison and some of the brain trust down there. So that priority weighting area, that will fluctuate as we go through building to building. And then when you get to the high school level, there's an even different matrix. So at the elementary, middle school, and at the district level, you'll notice on the bottom where it's green and I think a version of blue, it says target group outcomes, and then it says on track to graduation. Those are weighted at 25% or half of our percentile. Those scores fluctuate when you get to the high school. And I don't know why. I just know that they set it at a certain percentage. So as we flip through, you'll see that it is different at the high school. And I've never got a straight answer other than that's how it is for every high school. The only other asterisks on that, when we get to Iron River, because of, as I mentioned, identifiable populations, the population at Iron River is so small that they do not have a target group outcome score. So their report card has always looked different. And it's not good or bad, it's just the difference of the building. That target group outcome is you have to have more than 20 students that are identified as being low performing. Well, because we know that in grades 3 through 5, there's not that big of a population at Iron River. That's why their weighting scale is different. So an asterisk I always give is it's best to compare schools that are of like demographics and of like size. So if I'm going to compare NES, I'm not going to compare NES to Marengo Valley or Iron River for that matter, because they're very different populations and the weighting scale is different. So as we move into the other breakdown, there's, as I mentioned, those 4 quadrants where these are usable, because again, I like to go back to why do we collect the information? Well, we want to be able to use it. We want to look at how are we moving our kids. So on the district level, we continue to perform really well. And if you look, there's a little light gray bar underneath. If you look priority area scores, there's a big blue bar for English language arts. That would be our students' performance on the forward exam, the ACT. Underneath that gray bar would be the state. So we're showing we're outperforming the state in those achievement areas. If you go over to growth, well, our student growth scores are less than the state average growth scores. So those are things that we look at as building administrators of, well, how are we growing our kids from year to year? So again, that's how we want to make sure that we can use our data that we're getting out of these assessments. In addition, I should have mentioned this a little bit earlier, because the Wisconsin Forward exam re-normed this year, the state cautions districts about comparing this year's report card to last year's report card. Or if we look at the elementary level, when we sat down at the beginning of the year, we looked at how the kids did on the Forward exam last year. They cautioned us to say, well, this group of kids last year performed better. Well, because the test they took in 2022-23 was actually different than the test they took in 23-24. What we can say is, based on that, we can say, okay, this percentage of our kids performed this well in comparison to the state, because every kid in the state took the test both years. So just as an asterisk, if we look at the performance from last year's report cards to this year's report cards, it's worth understanding that they were different tests. Obviously, every school was in the same boat, but we want to make sure that we understand that. I did also put a link in there. If anybody is interested, DPI has a lot of information on the resources tab, and that little blue link there says what the differences are between last year's report cards and this year's report card. So as we move on, again, looking for usability, this is a 3-column chart that shows per our populations how our students stack up by where they performed, if they were advanced, meeting expectations, approaching, or developing. So we look at those percentages, and again, as we think of moving our kids year to year, we want to be able to focus on, okay, oh, we're done. We'll try that. We want to focus on, well, how can we meet the needs of all of our student groups and be able to grow as much as we can year to year. Not sure why that kicked me off. All right, we're back. So moving on to the other buildings, I'm going to move just a little bit quicker. If we look at NES, NES continues to exceed the expectations of the state. Obviously, have a lot to be proud of. Our teachers are working very hard. Anecdotally, when we sat down and looked at our 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade scores, we were very pleased with how our kids grew and also how they performed overall last year. Again, we can't compare exactly to prior years, but based off the percentage, they performed very well. As we move a little bit quicker through these, as we move on to Iron River, Iron River's biggest growth piece, if you will, kids that performed a little bit lower, say last year or their year prior, really exploded last year. Our math data at Iron River really helped carry us, and they obviously continue to significantly exceed expectations. Our staff are very excited about that as well. The middle school, I know when I was here to talk about the Forward exam data, they also continue to exceed expectations. And you'll see later on, correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Craig, but I think the data that shows later on, they're the highest performing middle school in the northern part of the state. So a lot of kudos to our middle school staff on that. And at the high school, again, we continue to meet expectations. You'll notice in that priority weight, again, I drew attention to that, it shifts a little bit. When we look at how they perform against other schools in the heart of the north area, we again continue to be at that top, which again attributes to our high success. So these are the charts that I had shown in years past, the requests that we'd had by prior administration to look at how we compare to other schools. So again, if you look at our district as a whole, we tied for first place in the heart of the north in comparison. So a lot to be proud of in our district. When we drill down to the individual buildings, again, I know there's a lot more information on this page, but if we look at the total score and also how kids grew, both NES and Iron River have a lot to be proud of. The growth score for Iron River, again, very, very strong. Moving on to the middle school, as I identified, the middle school continues to perform exceedingly well. And then on to our high school. As I said, I know that's a lot of information, but I want to be able to answer any questions you guys have, or you can always reach me at schools.
So I have a question.
Please do.
More. Unity is going to be joining the Heart of the North of sports. Will it also be in this?
Yeah, yep, so, in the past, obviously, I was here with Dr. Cronin, she asked me to compare to the schools that, obviously, size-wise we can compare to, but then also in our athletic conference. Couple of years, she asked me to pull in some Ashland and Superior before Ashland was in the Heart of the North. So I did that, so if anybody wants to look at certain schools, but I can certainly pull Unities even now just to look at how we stack up.
I looked at all the schools around us. We do very well. The only thing is that I told somebody we had 70, and they said, well, 70, but you're barely passing. It's the highest, it's the highest.
Points, not percentage. Yeah.
So with the report card, is it still taking into account things like attendance and that
So-
sort of thing now?
Yes. So part of that on track to graduation, which is part of the quartile, part of that does take into account graduation rate and also then attendance rate. So it's part of it now. Is it really heavily weighted? I don't really know about that. There's a matrix to it, and I've asked Mark, the brain trust down in Madison, could you put it in English and explain how this all works? I don't think they will. So I've asked, but it doesn't say, well, this percentage comes out of this percentage comes out of this. If you remember Jim Lee, and Jim Lee's in CSA, he's the smartest man I've ever been around. Jim could walk through it and explain it all, but I don't have the brain power.
I did talk to Dr. Underly when she came up to the PAC meeting last month about chronic absenteeism, about getting dinged on a report card, because we get dinged on that even when a kid is a student that's maybe up at Bellevue or somewhere, and they're still getting their homework and everything, and they're excused, but we're still getting dinged on it. She said it's a coding thing. There's a way to code it differently, and we should be able to fix that for the future of that. So I thought that was positive. So,
Along that board goal is also mental health. We need to support our kids in every way we can. There's a lot of things going on in life that we should not expect them to be in the classrooms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like you to touch on one thing that we're in depth for me. So they have this rating or scale for economics, and we're like economically disadvantaged or something like that.
Yep.
Can you elaborate on how that weighs into the score?
Yeah, actually, so one of the tools that they have out on their information page or resources page, I can send it to you. There's a little sliding scale. So I'll speak to the elementary level. It's what I work with the most. So I can go in and I select, what my grade band, if you will, and then I can take that scale and I can slide it over to, 38%, where the middle, where NES is at. And as I do that, it changes the amount of weight that's put on growth versus the amount that's put on achievement. So if I, pick a district that's a 75% disadvantage, there's a lot less weight on the achievement in that calculation than there is on growth. So what Mark had talked about from UW-Madison is what they're trying to do is compare, okay, if we take all of our student population, we don't want to compare our student population that is different to a student population that's very low socioeconomic status. So what they've done is try to figure out, okay, in that mathematical equation, if we remove some of those barriers, how can we compare it more to your like demographic? So there's 2,000 schools in the state, say, then in that calculation, by adjusting that, it would be changing the weighting to fit better with what your comparables would be. I actually have a video that I've shared with staff. It's called the oak tree analogy. It's acorn drops. If it's closer to the base of the tree, it's nurtured different than if it's farther away from the tree. So they use that as an ideal to say, well, based on what those impacts are and what the conditions of their environment are, both at school and at home, what would that look like? So I can send you that link. It's just a little slide thing. You can change the percentage, and it does top out. I don't remember what the number is as far as what the maximum percentage would be for growth versus achievement or vice versa. And then, I think it's like 35.7% is the 25% for weighting. So it's the state's way to try and say, well, if I happen to be a student here in Maple, that is different than a student that's, inner city Milwaukee, or a student that is in
Across Aquinas.
Yeah. Yep. Sure. Well, they have a different report card. The private school's got a different mess. So it's their way of saying that we're going to compare to those that you're comparing.
Test scores.
Yeah. Good question.
Any questions? So thank you, and it isn't just a report to me, it's big news.
Absolutely.
And I think all the staff and students should be proud of the work they've done and know that we appreciate everything. Sure.
Whether people agree with state testing, standardized testing, that's a different conversation. This is validation. I share this out to our staff. This is because of the hard work that our staff does and the great community that we have, the families that work hard. Because of that, we are at the top of the pile. It's a lot to be proud of. Thank you guys for all of it.
Thank you very much. Item 7, report of Douglas County drug and alcohol supports for 24-25. Mrs. Craig.
Yes, I think everyone received copies of that information. Just wanted to link this to your board priorities, which is to increase our mental health supports for students. So again, just to reiterate the information you have, it's a $100,000 counseling grant awarded to Douglas County aimed at helping 12-year-olds and up who are struggling with any kind of addiction, alcohol, or drugs, and then it's open to any students in Douglas County. And it comes to that information comes to them based on school referrals. So if we learn of a family or a student in our protected community that is struggling with that, we can offer this service. They meet weekly on Wednesdays from 4 to 5 o'clock in Superior. And it's free. And they also offer services for families too. So we were invited to come and be part of that and attended that meeting. And by attending, we're given that opportunity as well. So we're super thankful to be part of this initiative as well. And again, it ties directly to our board goals. And with that, as our counselors that help lead that or help, I would say, families navigate that labyrinth. So I just want to thank our counseling team, especially this week as well, for everything else that we are helping others navigate through. So thank you to them and for helping our students with this initiative.
Thank you.
For students who aren't residents in Douglas County, they're not eligible.
Not with this particular grant. And I really appreciate this grant, Emily Mack and Brooke Fitzgerald from Douglas County. I appreciate when there's less red tape. Here's some funding. They don't make you jump through hoops or red tape. It's like, we've got money. Let's help kids. So I'm just super thankful to them for reducing that for us and just saying, let's help students. So, very nice.
So Emily and Brooke deserve the credit for this grant then, is that what you're saying?
Correct, yes. Yep. Emily's providing the services, and Brooke is the one who oversees the grant. Yep. So really awesome.
Thank you. Item 8, administrative reports. A is communications, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, we got a thank you was received from Mrs. Mary Woodrich, mother of Mary Misbauer, for the memorial sent after the loss of her husband, Richard. And then we've got the State Education Convention. It's January 22nd through the 24th. Registration has been completed for me and Mr. Fetchcotter as well as Mr. Landwehr. If anybody else still wants to go, please let me or Mrs. Keller know, and we can get you signed up for that.
Verification of candidates and drawing ballot order.
So I have on here the deadline, January 14th, it's a deadline, latest we can do that. Deadline for any candidates to get their paperwork in is January 7th at 5 p.m. I am working with a family to get that lined up and have them come in to pick the ballot order. But I'm going to try to do it that same week. The WASB encourages you to do it immediately after the filing deadline. So I'm going to look at doing that same week so we can get it taken care of.
Maintenance report, Mr. Pescatani?
Yeah, pretty standard stuff. We started snow removal, had a lot of snow, but we've had to clean up our lots a couple of times. Did a little roofing work before the snow flew officially, so that was good to get that buttoned up with Jamar. And then general operational things that happen in our buildings. So.
Our snow removal people, are they poised?
Yeah, first couple of times they've done a good job for us. I had a good contact with them, so.
Poised and ready. Okay, item E, donations.
Yeah, we had a few donations this month. Alyssa DeVink donated gently used winter jackets to NES. Glenn Miller donated miscellaneous items for the Tiger Store at Iron River Elementary School. Wisconsin Retired Educator Association donated toothbrushes, toothpaste for students at Iron River. East Central Energy donated a bin of hygiene supplies to NMS, and Tina Moss donated a bag of candy for classroom incentives. We want to thank all those people for their generous donations.
And we do appreciate that. And I think part of the work that the PTO and the PTA and the group at the high school kind of encourages other people to get involved. I think that's a credit to them. They're kind of spurring other people on. Item F, WSB and legislative correspondence, Mr. Conley.
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I got way more than I want here, but first off, state budget update, tax collections and total revenues are coming in higher than projected. Department of Administration estimates that Wisconsin will have a general fund balance of $4 billion at the end of the 24-25 fiscal year. This increasing tax revenue comes amid a trend of a lowering tax burden for Wisconsinites. Wisconsin Policy Forum has released this new study indicating the combined state and local tax burden dropped to around 9.9%, a record low. This drops Wisconsin to the 35th highest combined tax burden, which is an all-time low for the state. In 2000, Wisconsin was ranked third highest in tax burden. This new data is being considered at the same time that legislative leaders are determining priorities for the 2025-27 state budget. I thought that was interesting. Okay, the WASB just sent out a report to members on 12 proposed resolutions for 2025, and this is a summary as best I can. Resolution 1, WASB supports all 20 of the recommendations of the Bipartisan Blue Ribbon Commission on School Funding, as published in January 2019, that's designed to help districts in critical areas because the finding of the commission have yet to be acted upon.
What was the date?
In 2019, they recommended funding goals, and they've yet to do anything about those, basically. Resolution 2, they support reasonable efforts to provide pathways to licensure for teaching candidates in subject and content areas where there is a shortage of licensed teachers. Provided the candidates have bachelor's degrees and or 32 qualified credits to be in a classroom as demonstrated by appropriate experience. The new pathway would give districts the ability to sponsor qualified paraprofessionals in their districts to become licensed teachers. Resolution 3, they supported early literacy assessments, screeners, and diagnostics required that state law be provided in English learner student home language in accordance with the current best practices in assessment and instruction for bilingual program students. Resolution 4, WASB supports separating state funding for voucher schools and independent 24 charter schools from the school aid formula. Removing voucher and independent charter school funding from the school aid formula would reduce the burden on local property taxpayers. Currently are facing increases in property taxes as a result of the current funding structure for the programs. Resolution 5, WASB supports consistent standards across all publicly funded schools, including private schools receiving voucher funding, must have the exact same accountability, reporting, and transparency standards and requirements. The current statutory structure lacks transparency for taxpayers by allowing random inequities in accountability. Resolution 6, WASB supports state-funded public school 3K and full-day 4K for all Wisconsin children. WASB also supports collaboration between public schools and other public agencies and programs, private child care providers, and Wisconsin institutions of higher learning. Halfway. Resolution 7, WASB supports legislation to fund statewide mental health initiatives for district staff in order to help improve staff mental health and increase retention rates. Resolution 8, WASB supports timely revision of the school accountability system to calculate school and district report card overall scores based on student achievement only. Other data may be included for informational purposes, but not used in calculating the overall score. This resolution additionally aims to establish consistent scoring metrics across grade bands, such as K5, 6, 8, 9, 12, rather than individual school building configurations that may differ. So that's what we just talked about, basically. They would like to see it based on scores. Resolution 9, WASB supports local initiatives that promote increased student academic achievement in key curricular areas, including science, math, language arts, social studies, foreign language, and technology, with the intent of ensuring college, career, and workforce readiness, in addition to supporting the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills. The original resolution is limited only to core curricular areas. So basically, they want to expand it to other areas. Resolution 10, WASB supports legislation that would clarify the responsibilities of school districts, parents, students, courts, and law enforcement agencies in the enforcement of truancy laws and provide greater latitude in applying disciplinary measures to keep students in school, with the goal of keeping students in school by using strengths-based, evidence-based approaches that focus on family, schools, and community organizations. Number 11, WASB supports legislation that allocates money to reimburse districts for the cost of unpaid school meal debt if they are feeding all students without stigma. Several districts within the state pay for school meals for all students. The state could alleviate that burden on districts, students, and families by allocating to a fund that districts can submit for reimbursement at the end of the year. And lastly, number 12, WASB calls upon the legislature to allocate funding to school districts for cybersecurity measures, including but not limited to cybersecurity software, hardware upgrades, and training for personnel. This may include whether a ransom will be paid. Ransom attacks and other such cybersecurity threats continue to be a growing problem for school districts. Proposed resolution language would aid schools by calling on the state for investment in key protections, as well as providing guidance on best practices that could help alleviate damage in the event of an attack. So those are our 12 proposals by the School Board Association. Yeah, other ways to spend that money.
And a lot of news about Act 10.
Yeah, I didn't, I talked about that a couple times, so yeah, that's yet to be determined where that's going.
Okay, thank you. Item 8G, CISA 12 report, Mr. Gladys.
Okay, my updates from Dr. Madison. My last meeting where he highlighted the 3rd annual Sportsman Summit, which was held at Superior Senior High. All of our districts plus LCO school had student and adult representation at the summit. CISA 12 school board retreat will be held on May 1st in Hayward. More information to come. Some of the directors there talked about CISA staff have been working with directors on each other on their goals for the year. Each staff member writes yearly goals, and each has an accountability partner to connect with over the course of the year on their goals. Sarah Nelson and Jen Ledeen through their statewide coordinator roles, will be helping to shape the work in RSN and EMLSS projects in 25-26. They're both very excited. They, between Sarah and Jen, are very busy helping shape some of that stuff up, so doing a lot of work. CISA 12 is upgrading their website. They'll be launching an app in 2025. We're still working on the kinks on that. Let's see what else here. We had an order report from Ms. Lulich, Family School Partnership Coordinator. The Wisconsin Statewide Parent Educator Initiative is a grant project focused on improving school and family partnerships across the state. Ms. Lulich helps answer questions on both parents and school staff and how to best support the students. She also works with districts to improve their family engagement for special education students and regular education students. Our next meeting is next Tuesday. I have a Zoom meeting.
Zoom?
Zoom.
Awesome. Zooming to number H, or letter H. Report for Iron River Elementary, Northwestern Elementary, Northwestern Middle School, Northwestern High School, and the athletic director, activities director, and director of special education reports. We appreciate those. And I think we're all getting the ones from the middle school now, including those that don't have students there. Getting that thing. Yeah.
If you have a student there, you get twice.
Yeah. It's a good reminder. And then the student representative, Mr. Dodds, is exasperated for having to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so he had to leave.
Stressful.
Take it all in, right?
Okay. So for sports, girls basketball is 2-0 in the conference. Boys basketball is 0-1 in the conference, and they play St. Croix Falls tomorrow and Hayward on Friday. Dance team, they have a competition this weekend in Eau Claire, and their first game they're dancing at is tomorrow. And then girls hockey started 2-0, and they had a win against Moose Lake last week. They play Proctor tomorrow and are in International Falls on Saturday. Gymnastics, they had a scrimmage last week, and there's 3 girls participating. And then in wrestling, they're 5-2 in 2 events held. Excuse me. And they're 1-2 in dual, and then they were in Turtle Lake last Friday, and then they're in Wisconsin Dells next Friday and Saturday, and that will be the whole team. And then 17th, they have a quad with 4 other schools. And then for activities, band and choir concert is today. That's where Oscar went. And then the band concert is next Monday. The musical this year will be The Wizard of Oz, and then casting is complete, and their first rehearsal will be tomorrow. Excuse me. And DECA is preparing for an upcoming competition. FBLA is also preparing for an upcoming competition on February 1st. National Honor Society on Saturday, 4 students, including myself, shopped for 5 kids in need in the area with a partnership with KIN. So we spent about $200 on each child, and that was like getting them like some needs that they wanted for their Christmas gifts, I guess, basically. So that was nice. And we're hoping to work with Superior High School, their Interact Club, for more volunteer opportunities. And then Student Council, they're having their KIN Toy Drive, which they have every year. And then VAC, their Cromps are in, that's Visual Arts Classic. And then we've selected our categories, and we start projects after our next meeting for competition in February. And that's everything.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Are there local drop spots for toys? Toy donations for?
I know that there's one here, in the, whatever it's called. Yeah, the Commons.
The front office would be a good place to go.
Yeah, or that.
Thank you. Student, staff, and community recognition, Mr. Moore.
Just a couple I want to just point out. First, I just want to thank all of our coaches in the fall season for their time and dedication. They had a great season in all the sports. I think that goes unnoticed sometimes, the time and effort our coaches put in in and out of the season. And so I wanted to give a shout out to all them. But I also want to give praise to our administrators, Mr. Smith, Ms. Craig, Mr. Larrabee. That report card doesn't just happen, right? Their leadership in buildings and the way they work with their staff to get them ready, help get the kids ready. That we've got some very outstanding principals in this district, and I just want to make sure that they know how proud I am of them and the work they put in time. So thank you.
Well, it's time for comments from the audience, and now that we have concluded the business of the board, we will end the live stream.